welcome everybody to this morning. We've got 4 keys needed to succeed in 2021. And in this presentation, it's going to be about 20 minutes. And at the end, I'll give you some information about how you can get some more help and kind of facilitate using these 4 keys. What I want you to know is that you're probably going to hear some noise when maybe some people come in late, that kind of things. That's totally cool. If you got a question, pop it into the chat. That's a great place to do it. I can see that. I'm trying to look at the presentation and make sure that that's working for most of the time, but I'll try to jump over there if I see it. And we're going to jump into the material pretty quick. Let me get everything set up here. All right. And then I am recording this just so that you know I'm recording this so that I can use it to put it out there. It'll be on YouTube, it'll be on Facebook, so that people can find the information and use this. Again, like I said at the end, there'll be a way that you can find out about getting more information if that's something that you want to do. But for now, let's jump into the 4 keys needed to succeed in 2021. And what I want to tell you first is, let me go back up. What I want to tell you first is that this is information that you have heard before. You're going to fall in one of 3 buckets. One bucket is you've heard it and you've heard it laid out like this before. One is you've heard some of this before in different pockets and different things that may be there. And then another bucket, and that final bucket, is you haven't heard any of this. In either one of those 3 cases, no matter where you fall, think about it. I want you to approach it this way, that you approach this next 20 minutes with some openness. I don't know if you've ever read a book and then gone back and reread it and go, man, I didn't catch that the first time, or a podcast, or listened to a book, or watched a movie and go, oh man, I didn't see that the first time. That may be the case here. So even if it's material that you've seen more than once, jump back in with an open heart and open mind and look for what it is that you can find that may be new. And the reason is because our life, the context of our life, we don't have all of that context that we have up until this point. Something new may have happened since the last time you've seen this material. And maybe it hasn't, but you can still always find something new in the material that that you're reading and listening to, as long as you're open to it. So I'm going to ask you to be open. The first one of these is vision. And I'm going to tell you about the components of vision. But before I tell you about the components of vision and what goes into a good vision, I want to tell you a story about vision. And this one always gives me goosebumps. So maybe it will for you, maybe it won't, but it's actually about a place that's near and dear to the heart of me and my family, and that's Walt Disney World. And in 1971, Roy Disney, Walt's brother, the late Walt Disney's brother, stood at a podium in Florida, and he was there with the Disney family, including Mickey Mouse, but Walt's wife, and they looked out on a crowd, and the crowd there was 100,000 people invited, that many people there, all cast of characters there. You could smell the hot dogs being made. You could smell the popcorn. You've got people camped out looking and ready to hear about this and see the parks for the first time in Florida. And if you've never been, it is a tremendous experience. A lot of people grumble because it's expensive. It's a vacation that my family and I do often, because once every 2 to 3 years, because we love it that much. We're Disney people. But whether you are or not, you can appreciate this story. You look out across this sea of people, and here's Roy looking out, Walt Disney's brother. And Walt had passed away from lung cancer a few months or a few years before. And Roy carried on the work to launch Walt Disney World. He was very adamant that it was called Walt Disney World, not just Disney World. And he was a little bit of a stickler for that. But he's looking out across this sea of people, and he's about to give the speech. And Walt's wife leans over to Roy and says, Roy, wouldn't it be amazing if Walt could see all of this? And Roy looked back at her square in the face and he said, Walt saw this before any of us saw it. And that's vision. That's powerful, right? That's being able to see into the future, this big vision. And it was so powerful, and he was able to articulate that vision so well that his brother could pick the ball up and run with it to bring that vision to fruition. So as you think about vision, I want you to recognize that it supports your purpose. And they're distinctly different. Vision supports your purpose. Your purpose in life is what your passion is, what you're here and what you've been put on this planet to do. And Everyone's purpose is different. That's why we're uniquely different in our experiences, the way that we carry that out. But your purpose is how you impact the world. The purpose is bigger than you, right? And some people say, I have a vision to have $1 million. And I would totally agree with that, as long as your vision supports your purpose. If that $1 million that you've got is going to be there to impact more than just yourself. I want you to look 5 years into the future when we talk about a vision. And the reason is because, a lot of people ask me, why 5 years? And the reason is because it's far enough out that you can let go of the day-to-day, the things that are, holding you back today, and you can kind of dream a little bit. But it's not so far out in the future that it's not possible to wrap your mind around. So 5 years is a good time. And if I want you to think about it in vivid technicolor. And what I mean by that is the same way I talked to you about Walt Disney's vision, about you could smell the hot dogs and the popcorn, you could hear the crowds and all of that stuff. You kind of got a sense for what that was like. Well, your vision should be the same, right? It should be, what are you doing in 5 years? What type of house do you have? What type of friends do you have? What decisions do you make? What's your spiritual life like? What's a normal Saturday? How are you spending your recreation time? Be able to be super descriptive. And if that's hard for you, you can work with a coach, or there's books on vision. Depending on how you want to get your self-help, you can spend very little and get some information on YouTube, kind of like this. Or you can get and buy a book, $25, or you can hire a coach. And it really depends on how fast you want to bring that vision into fruition. If you need some help, get some help. It's out there and available to you. The second key component for facilitating progress and achieving success in 2021 is going to be your strategy. And I want to talk to you a little bit about strategy because it's what brings your vision into reality. It is the step-by-step approach that helps you achieve your vision. And it includes the big steps or phases that are needed in order to facilitate that vision. And it's a little ambiguous, right? It's not clear cut. It's just going to be like time periods or themes that you can think in that kind of help you get there. So let's say that your vision is to have a thriving business that employs people and brings happiness to all of those of your customers, right? You're able to impact the world in that way. And it's a little bit of an ambiguous vision, but hey, it's there, okay? We'll use that as our vision. Our strategy to get there in 5 years might be that we've got to launch a business, we've got to hire people, and we've got to build this facility, right? Those might be 3 different parts of our strategy. So part of that would be one phase or one theme would be pre-launch, all of the things that it takes to get us ready to launch. And that might be what we do in 2021 is to launch the business. So phase 1 of this strategy might be pre-launch. And then there might be launch, which be 2021 to, maybe halfway through 2021 or 2022. And it may include a lot of different things. But if you think about it in themes, you can kind of see that, hey, the big things I've got to do here is launch the business, make the business viable, and then grow the business. And those might be parts of your strategy. All of those facilitate the 5-year vision that you've got, and they kind of build on each other. So that's strategy. The next key component is going to be your goals. And when I think about goals, we're going to get into what some types of goals are in just a few moments. But these goals are, that is the part where you say, hey, I'm going to launch the business in 2021. That's the goal. It's part of the strategy, right? It facilitates moving along in the strategy. But these are more concrete things that you can do to bring the strategy, to push the strategy along and achieve the vision. So when I think about goals, a lot of times what people do is they think right away at just one type of goal. I do it or I don't. And I want to challenge you a little bit there. There are 4 different types of goals that I teach and work with clients on. And a lot of times I see right off the bat, we get some avoidance goals put out there. And an avoidance goal is simply, hey, I don't want to look like an idiot. I don't want to lose the race. Anything that starts with don't and has something at the end of it, that's typically an avoidance goal. These are full of judgment, and they actually can train your brain to get you to think the wrong way about your goal. And what you think about what you don't want, you end up bringing about. So a lot of times when I hear an avoidance goal with a client, I'll say, whoa, 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 let's reframe that. And the reason is because if you think about what you don't want to do so much, hey, I'm on the high dive and I don't want to screw this dive up. Guess what you're going to do? You're going to screw the dive up. Hey, I want to launch this business and I want it to go well. I don't want to screw this up. Guess what you're going to do? You're going to screw it up because you're so focused on screwing things up or not screwing things up that's what your brain actually helps you facilitate and bring about. So avoidance goals. The other part about this is hey, going to a Chamber of Commerce event and is part of launching your business and getting your networking going. And you go out there and you say, I don't want to screw this up. I don't want to, be a dud at the event, at the networking event. And what you focus on then is because you don't want to do those things, you focus on wearing the right clothes or having the right shoes or having the right business card or having the right slogan on your card because you don't want to screw it up. You're focused on trying to be perfect. And guess what you're going to do? You're going to screw it up. And here's what's going to happen when you screw it up. You're going to think, oh my gosh, I'm a total failure. Who am I to think that I could do this? This is crazy. I shouldn't have even have had this thought in my head. And then most people will tuck tail and they run. And that's because they were focused with the wrong type of goal. The second type of goal is an attainment goal. And I'm going to go ahead and show you the other three is an attainment goal. This is what we often most associate with goals. And that is that launch the business 2021. If I do it or I don't. And an attainment goal is kind of a mixed bag. It's got a little bit of judgment, a little bit of objectivity in it. But an attainment goal is a good thing when used in concert with the other two goals that I'm going to talk about. But that, hey, I'm going to launch a business in 2021. We'll talk about SMART goals in a minute, but it's something you can see that you can do it or not, right? You could get to the end of 2021, tongue tied, and be able to say, I did it or I didn't. A process goal is more mastery goal oriented, or it's something that you absolutely control. With an attainment goal, you don't have all the control. You have most control. But at the end of 2021, if you didn't do it, something could have happened along the way that kept you from launching that business with an attainment goal. You could have had, something catastrophic happen. Somebody hit your parked car. Nobody was hurt, but it hit your parked car. You got to replace your car. And that took all the money that you had to go towards the business. Therefore, you couldn't launch the business. You couldn't control that, right? And that could knock you off track of your attainment goal. Your process goal is different. It's something you can absolutely control that helps facilitate your attainment goal. This is a mastery goal. This is something that's focused on objectivity and learning. So this is, hey, in order to launch my business, I need to be getting my name out there for my business over the course of the next year. That means I'm going to reach out to 3 new contacts a week. Now, I can't tell what the outcome is going to be when I reach those three new contacts, but I can definitely control reaching out to the 3 new contacts. And I promise you, if I have 3 new contacts every week that I'm talking about my business with for 52 weeks over the course of the next year, that's a lot of people, right? That's over 150 new people that have a definite, they've heard 30 minutes worth of what your business is going to be like. You're going to facilitate some success. And your core goal is the feeling or emotion that you bring about, the true why of what your attainment goal and your process goal is trying to accomplish. Now, aim SMART, everybody's kind of heard of SMART goals, specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and time bound. But not everybody's heard of aim SMART. And aim SMART is a type of goal that's set forth in the coaching school I went to. And I'm going to share that with you because it's very important to kind of make sure that you are rocking along on getting your goals done and not losing the momentum because of being discouraged. So the A in aim SMART is your acceptable minimum. If my acceptable minimum for 2021 is to launch the business, have it set up structurally, I've got my papers filed, I've got a bank account, I've got a CPA. I can definitely say at the acceptable minimum is I've got all of that stuff done by the end of 2021. I can actually do that. Is it specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and time bound? Yes, it meets all of those criteria. That's my acceptable minimum. So no matter what, I can walk away with that by the end of 2021. And I can feel good that I accomplished that. The next is the ideal goal that I want. Well, the ideal goal is that I did all of those things, but not only that, I've got a thriving business that's making profit and I'm actually able to support myself off just this business by the end of 2021. Right? That's my ideal goal. I could let go of whatever else I'm doing and just focus 100% on this. That's my ideal goal. Well, somewhere in the middle might be that, hey, and that's that's the M in AIM, is the middle, right? So what's somewhere in between just getting the business set up and ready to do business and rocking along and be able to fully support myself with just this new venture that I've got is, got the business fully set up and I'm making contacts and clients are hiring me, right? That is a middle of the road goal. And what happens here is it gives you a stretch above your acceptable minimum. It also gives you something to shoot for with your ideal, but that middle acceptable goal is actually something that is realistic and pushes you to get where you need to go. All of these, of course, meet the criteria of specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound, or actionable and time-bound. So let's make sure that you rock along with those key components of building out your goals, and that is the third part. The last thing is make sure you begin with the end in mind. And that means start at the end and work your way backwards, okay? You want to make sure that you're doing that, because otherwise, if you've never done this and you think that your progress has to be incremental, then you're going to think, well, I've got to open a bank account. Okay, now I've got to get a business card. Well, I got to do it. And before you know it, you've drowned yourself with doing all the minutia of getting things set up, and you will rarely hit your goal. So start at the end and say, at the end of this, I want to have all of this done, and then work your way back. Okay, the fourth one is an action plan. And hey, no surprise, right? Nothing happens till you do something, and you need something that is structured and prescribed. It needs to meet your goals for the year, this action plan. And this is where the rubber meets the road. And there's some magic in a 90-day action plan. And here's what I mean by that. 90-day action plans are so powerful because it takes 90 days to see real transformation. I mean, farmers plant things in the ground, and then, several months later that you can see the transformation. You can see things start to sprout up. They may not be ready to harvest yet, but you can see the transformation, right? If you put something into it, like if I go and have one conversation about facilitating my business today, I can't expect, maybe I get lucky and somebody goes, yes, I'd love to hire you right now. But I'm working with people and it takes time. Right? So the transformation over time, give yourself time over that 90 days to see true transformation happen. And that means that you need to pick 90-day goals in this action plan that support your overall one-year goal. And those actions, this is where your process goals come into play, right? If my goal for 90 days is to have 3 speaking engagements, that means that my process goal might be that I need to reach out to 3 people per week where I could do a speaking engagement. Maybe it's a podcast, maybe it's meeting speaking at a chamber meeting, maybe it's speaking at a networking meeting, maybe it's speaking for a sales team or something like that I could come online. Even if I can't travel there, I could be online and talk to them. I could have 3 conversations a week would lead me to being able to have 1 speaking gig per month. And if that's 1 speaking gig per month, that's 3 speaking gigs for the 90 days. So you see how those action plans can kind of facilitate that transformation over the 90 days. And just to let you know, if I were to have 3 conversations about public speaking a week, I would more than likely blow my 90-day goal away. I know people are always looking for somebody to come and speak to their team or something like that, and that's got some motivational content in it. So that is the 4th key to succeed in 2021. And when you think about succeeding in 2021, when you put those in order, right, and something to think about is 2 of those don't even happen in 2021, right? The vision and the strategy are actually longer range than this one next year. And that's one of the 5th kind of unspoken key here is that we're looking way out beyond 1 year in order to be successful in the next. And really the other 2, the goals and the action plans, those take place in 2021. But without those first 2, you end up finding yourself, kind of lost really at the end of the year, wondering why it's not turning out the way you want. And if you start with purpose, vision, strategy, and then build your goals and your actions to support that, the whole time you're doing it, no matter whether you're successful in your original assessment of what success is or not, it's fulfilling your purpose, and you will feel satisfied as you do it and enjoy it along the way. That's awesome, right? So the last thing I promised you is I would give you some information about how I might be able to support you in that. It goes beyond this training, and you can find information and links down below. I'm sure whether it's YouTube or Facebook or wherever this is going to show up, you'll be able to see that. But you can also join the conversation at the Second Shift community, and that is a Facebook group, private Facebook group. Many of you came to this presentation as a result of that, but you can find it at www.facebook.com/groups/second shift, or just search for Second Shift. It's the only one on there. And also, I've got complimentary coaching sessions set up for you if you would like to grab one of those. They're about 45 minutes. It is a true coaching session. It is not meant as a sales pitch whatsoever. And in fact, we don't talk anything about sales or numbers or anything like that unless you were to ask for it at the end, and I'd give you an option for that. But it's also, it's just there for you. It's a gift. It's a way for me to give back. It's also my way to meet with new people and find out what's actually people are struggling with and what they need help with, so that I can tailor my offerings. The other one is one-on-one coaching, right? There's those people that say, hey, guess what? I'm ready. I don't need I don't need anything else. I'm ready to hire you as a coach. That's awesome. I can certainly facilitate that and help you with that. I offer 3 different packages. One's a Kickstarter package, one's an accelerator package, and one is the long haul package. All of those work together to kind of get you where you need to go, and work deeply in those goals, strategy, vision, purpose, all of those things. And then the fourth one is a mastermind. I operate with a small business mastermind. I lead and facilitate that group. And it is a shorter term. So a lot of masterminds out there are like a year long, and they're super expensive. What I want to do is bring this to the world for people who are launching a business, who don't have a ton of money to invest in one, but they do have some to invest, and they want to get this. In a mastermind, basically, you've got a round table of people that are business owners just like you, that are willing to give you gritty feedback. And you got to come with a little bit of an open heart and a thick skin, and be able to say, hey, okay, I'm putting my offer out there. What do you guys and gals see about this? And they're able to kind of pick it apart. And at the end of it, you're able to say, oh, before I go out there and show this to the world, now I've got some really good advice from lots of different people. It's not just from one person giving me advice or helping me with something. It's actually from a panel of people. And the mastermind is by application only, because the seats are limited. There are only 6 to 8 seats available in there. And that makes sure that everybody gets a couple of hot seats, which the way a mastermind works, in my masterminds they work, is we do about a 40-minute hot seat where you get in and kind of pitch your product or talk about what you're doing and where you're running into obstacles, and the group kind of helps you with that. And the other 20 minutes is 10 at the beginning, 10 at the end. And we just kind of have conversations, see how our progress is going as a group. So those are other ways that I can support you, and I would love to do that. Thank you for coming to the presentation today. That is what I wanted to share with you. So before we break, there are 4 components that you need to employ before you can be successful in 2021 if you truly want to accomplish what you're looking to do. One is reach out far beyond 2021 and see what your vision is, and then put some building blocks of what that strategy looks like in, and then work to get you some real goals, some real solid goals for 2021, and then build those action plans out. And if you need any help with that, I'm here for you. Just let me know. And thanks for joining, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.